Should open the door so they can hear it. Did you hear that, guys? Bulldog supporters just enjoying their win, playing the music in the car park, singing it out loud. I want to be them right now. And yeah, as always, comment your thoughts. I'll try and keep it. Well, honestly, guys, there's probably not much to talk about. It wasn't a, yeah. It's not a game where you really need to dissect the intricacies of it. It was just Sam. I know. Yeah, I feel like crying, Matt. I felt like crying for a lot of that game. But honestly, almost after half time, it was almost comical. Me and my girlfriend were just laughing at how fucking terrible we were. You know, it was just like, this is ridiculous. These are professionals that train every week. They get paid a lot of money. And we dished that up. You almost have to laugh. If you're not laughing at it, you're crying, pretty much. 111 points, I think it was. As my post mentioned, that's the biggest loss against the Dogs. That's, I think, the biggest loss we've ever experienced under the roof at Docklands. Our biggest loss since 2014. Our biggest loss under Rats. And, for me personally, the biggest loss I've ever seen live in my life. And I've seen some fucking shit losses, I'll tell you. I've seen some embarrassing performances. You know, this year's given me at least 4 of them. This one, it seemingly we just seem to top it every time. Every loss is worse and worse. I think we lost by 60 this year, 70, 80, and now over 100. And we're playing North next week. North, who are the only other team to be embarrassed by as much as we have this year. So that's going to be a blockbuster. Yeah, there's a lot to answer to, isn't there? Yeah, exactly right. Whoever just commented there, you feel numb watching it. You do. You know, I don't know, you just felt from the first bounce that it was done. The game was done. Even, you know, Billings kicked that goal and we looked like we were kind of in with the sniff, but really, their mids had a day out. Norton kicked more goals than our team. Bruce kicked 4 or 5. Bontempelli ran riot. They had no ruckman tonight, but Paddy, as much as I love Paddy, you know, his tap work, he got the taps, but they were roving them every time. Every time. We were reactive. We were scared. Max King looked off. You know, I mean, by that I mean he spent a lot of the game on the bench in front of me. So I don't know if he came into this with an injury cloud or we were trying to rotate Paddy and McKernan. But there was just, yeah, so much off about tonight. Nothing more off than the coaching, I think. I think this is probably the week where question marks are going to be thrown to Rats and he's probably not going to have the answers. And that's the worrying thing. You know, we're bombing it. We bombed it countless times to Jack Loney, to Jack Higgins, and to Dan Butler 1 out on bigger opponents, thinking they were going to take marks. And then we've got someone who's supposedly a good mark, good kick for goal, and a big boy in Josh Battle just labouring on the wing, doing absolutely nothing. So, and then it was only the last quarter that Rats decides to put Battle forward. I mean, obviously the game was done by that point. It was done an hour before that point. But, you know, a good coach tries to mix it up. He tries to change things. He tries to play players in different positions. But we didn't change anything. But maybe you need a game plan to change a bloody game plan. And tonight, you even last week I thought, it looked like we had some sort of method towards beating Geelong. Tonight, it didn't seem like there was a single piece of play where there was method to it. It was chaos. We've got players putting down Bulldogs players and giving away 50s. I didn't notice Brad Crouch until the last 5 minutes. The forward line was a joke. And are we all really going to just say this is because of our injuries? Because I'm beginning to think that's just an easy out. No way Marshall plays tonight, we win that game or get close. That we're by far the most inconsistent team in the comp. Even North are more consistent. They're consistently average. We're inconsistent in that we show, there's performances that give you a bit of a glimmer of hope, light at the end of the tunnel, and then we dish out what we did tonight, which was embarrassing. I can't believe I actually stayed until the end. I was just telling my girlfriend before, but this is easily the worst loss of the year, not just margin-wise, but, people would argue that the Essendon loss was the worst because we played a pretty average team and they beat us by a lot. And tonight we played a good team and they beat us by a lot, so the Essendon game was worse. No, this is worse because we played a team that we beat 6-7 months ago in a final. Can't forget that. We've beaten them the last 3 or 4 times comfortably. And tonight they played their way and they showed that we are very, very far off. We are so far off. We are 111 points at least far off being a top team, being a top 6 team, a top 8 team even. Our percentage would be low 70s now after that. I haven't looked at it, but it would be borderline worst in the comp or close to worst in the comp. Yeah, guys, I've had excuses throughout the year, but nah. This is the first time I'm on everyone's side that's angry, that's upset, that is frustrated, that is saying they're not going to go to games for the rest of the year. I'm going to go to games, obviously, but I can completely understand Sainters that put up a lot of money, that come to games interstate, that travel, that do everything they do every week, spend a lot of money supporting the club, and that we get that. And that's not good enough. I don't know what the club can do this week to win the fans back. Even the worst part is we play North next week. So even if we win, it doesn't mean anything because you're playing North. These are the games that we want to be in. We want to be beating the Bulldogs. We want to be challenging Geelong. Being a top 8 team like last season. We had some bad losses last year. We know that. But none were as bad as this. We had some bad losses under Richo. None were this big. We never lost. I think we lost maybe one game by more than this under Richo, and that was Hawthorn, I think. And that was the last big loss we had in 2014. 72.6. That's our percent. Thanks for that. Who commented that? Daniel. Poor umpiring? Nah. I mean, the umpires were pretty fucked. I think at halftime it was 20-9. I don't know what the full tally was, but that wasn't the difference between the teams tonight. Last week, the difference was our kicking. We could all go to sleep after the game, sleeping easy, knowing the effort was there, the execution around the ground was there, but the finishing wasn't. This week, there was no effort. We had about 7 shots on goal to close to 40. I don't know what the total scoring shots was in the end, but I think the 111-point margin is 100% flattering, judging by the amount of shots that the Bulldogs had. It could have been far worse. It could have been 130, 140, more than that. And they missed a lot of shots too. They kicked, I think, over 15 or 16 points. The best part of the night to me was the fish and chips that I had. The fish was beautiful. That was it. And seeing Melbourne lose by a point. The 2 highlights weren't Saints related. That's sad, isn't it? That's sad. And maybe the one highlight was Burns. He had 24 disposals and 12 marks. Seeing youngsters run around and not put their heads down. And then to see senior players put their heads down. You know, we had Jack Steele and Jaron Geary out there tonight. You know, our captain's back, leadership there. That wasn't anything. We had no leadership stopping that rot, you know. Our backs were up against it again. You can't blame them. I can't blame them. But yeah, tonight was just, just a terrible night at the football. It was a nothing night. There's nothing to report on. I wouldn't have the answers. I don't even think the players or the coaches have the answers, which is the worrying part. But we've got North, then we've got Sydney, and then we've got Adelaide, and then the bye. So if we don't go into the bye off the back of 3 wins in a row, and right now we don't even look like being North, but the only chance we have this year is of salvaging something is by winning the next 3 against teams that around us and up and down and inconsistent like us. But Jack Loney, awful. McKernan, he's only playing because of the injuries that we have in the tall man department. Highmore, we could have used him intercepting tonight. He was the sub. Don't know why we didn't play him and we play 3 smalls. It's funny that we played 2 smalls. We played 3 smalls to start the year. Dog shit. We drop Loney. We played 2 smalls. Our forward line suddenly looks dangerous and we win 2 games in a row. And then we go back to 3 smalls and the forward line just completely goes tits up and we just struggle. And, I just genuinely don't think we can play with Jack Loney in the forward line. I'm sorry, Jack, but yeah. But Butler's probably in the worst form out of the 3 at the moment, but I just think Jack Loney's the one that you just can't rely on him to win your games and to kick goals consistently. And McKernan, there's no point talking shit about McKernan because he's only playing because of the injuries we have and the lack of depth in that tall man department. But, no Marshall, no Jones. That hurts, but that's not the difference between us winning a final last year and losing to the same team by over 110 points, 111 points. That's, that's something that no one knows what the answer is. And thank you, Christina. I wouldn't say that I'm brave for doing a review. I'm probably silly, to be honest. A lot of people messaging me, even my mum telling me, don't worry about it, just go home. There's not much to talk about. But yeah, the whole point of this channel is to still be able to vent and to get everything off your chest. And if that's, after a 111-point loss or it's after a 50-point loss or 10-point loss or a win, I'm going to try and do this at every chance I get. It's good for me. Hopefully it's good for you guys to just comment and to know that everyone else is feeling the same way. And that's the point of the channel. So hopefully you guys appreciate that. Let's try and... I won't go too long because obviously it is what it is, but we'll go all the way to the top and let's see if there's any decent comments. And just, by the way, I'm not going to read out... If there's too many comments that are the same, I'm not going to read them all out because obviously that's just... There's no point. So I'll just go all the way to the top. It's taking a while to get to the top, to be honest. I'll just start here. Let's just do this. Mark says, might need to try recruiting some players. I'm guessing you're alluding to not recruiting players, duds from other teams, and recruiting. We need to get youth in, and I agree with that. We need to go back to the draft. We might get a good draft pick this year, depending on when we finish on the ladder, but even in the mid-season drafts, we need to go young, we need to go youth, we need to get midfield depth, we need some more talls to help Max King, and maybe one more key defender for Frawley, even another ruckman, because Paddy Ryder's not going to be around forever. Alan says, absolutely terrible performance. No positives whatsoever. Go have a drink, mate, and move on. Can't even see us beating North next week. Yeah, that's going to be laughable if we can't beat North, honestly. Angus says, we got slammed. Nothing we could do. They were just better tonight. We didn't show up at all, and we need to get our heads out of our asses. The players need to get their heads out of their asses, that's for sure. The coaches, They got a lot of work to do. I hope they don't sleep at all this week. And I don't want to hear a word from the club. I don't want to hear Rats after the game saying this wasn't our night, we'll get better, we'll do this. We've had that 4 times already this year. I think the one thing that really upsets me about us losing is not just by the amount, but, well, it is. We can't seem to lose honourably. Last week was the exception, but that was only because we missed goal. We should have won last week, and it was only because of bad kicking that we lost. But every other loss we've had has been a thumping. Every loss. Every loss, it's been the highlight, the low light of the round. You know, if you look at the losses we've had, it's been the worst performance in that round. We don't lose, and it's kind of, you know, it's forgivable. It's a loss that's it's the news. It's the breaking news. St Kilda get thumped, you know. We're going to be the focus of many negative discussions this week, and we've only got ourselves to blame for that. But it's just we talked about it, and Rats talked about it in the year. We don't want it to be a trend. It is, I don't know what level beyond trend. It's a habit now, isn't it? I don't know if that's the same thing, but this is a habit. Losing badly, getting thumped, is becoming a very, very worrying habit for our club. Daniel says, start playing all the kids, start finding out who is staying and who is going at the end of the year, because we need a quick 2 to 3 rebuild. I don't think we need to condone rebuilds right now, but we do need to find the next wave of players, but we also need the players that we hoped would go to the next level, like the Clarks, the Caulfields, the Sinclairs, the Billings. We need to see some of them actually reach that potential, because right now there's a ceiling on everyone, and yeah, it's looking pretty low. We need to get some height in that ceiling. Julia, highlight of the night was seeing a lady reading a book during the 4th quarter. Honestly, I couldn't believe, you know, some Saints fans stuck around, and good on you for doing that. I could completely understand the Saints that went home. You don't need to deal with that shit. That's fine. But I couldn't believe, this is the first time I've experienced this, I saw the opposition supporters leaving early. The Bulldogs supporters were that comfortable, were that confident, weren't they? That they thought, all the games, what's the difference between watching my team win by 100 or 150? You know, they're sipping on their wine at home, watching the replay. They left early because they were that comfortable. That is how embarrassing our performance was. I've got a smile on my face because I couldn't believe it. You know, I'm like, I can't believe you guys are that happy. They're like, oh, what's the point? Let's beat the traffic. Let's get out of the car park. Let's get on the train early. I'll watch the last 5 minutes. What am I going to miss? Another 10 goals by my team? Whatever. You know, that's the way they were. Unreal. That's how bad tonight was, that the opposition supporters were leaving early. And it wasn't because their team was getting belted. It was because their team was that far ahead. They didn't need to see any more. They were comfortable. Radley says, character building loss for our supporters. Mate, how much more character building can this club give us, honestly? Some of these Saints fans that have been members for 50 plus years, you must be top characters by now. You must have the thickest skin in the world to be watching and dealing with that week in, week out. I've only been doing it for 20 years and less than 20 years, and it's bloody tough. It's bloody tough. Praz says, I seriously doubt Ratton as coach. Now, I've never done this, but I'm going to throw it to the girlfriend.
Oh, God.
Do you doubt Ratton as coach? You're not on camera, but they can hear you. Do you doubt Rats as coach, or do you think it's more on the players?
I'm starting to.
Is it more Rats or more player-driven, this performance?
Well, I think that the players have a responsibility to try and own their shit. But
Yeah.
I think that he needs to do something.
The players own the 2 hours every week that they play, but Ratton owns the preparation, the game plan, the style. If we lose by 10 goals, but we're playing fast, exciting football, you're like, well, there's something there. But if you're losing by 15 to 20 goals and there is no substance, there's no seemingly there's no look to a remote game plan at all, and players are frustrated. I saw Sinclair, get the ball, and he was the highlight tonight too. He was very good. He was getting frustrated because nothing was going on ahead of the ball, and this was what happened in the first 6 or 7 rounds until we won a couple of games. But maybe that papered over these cracks, and maybe these cracks are still there. We need some new wallpaper going up on the wall to cover these cracks, because there's more and more emerging, and they're getting deeper and deeper as the season goes on. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but Cinquez or Chinquez, this is their comment, tell me all the players out of contract this season, and how many of them do we keep? None. Billings is the only one, and we need to trade him. Well, that's the only way we get back into the draft and we can get some young players in, is we might need to be ruthless and trade players like Billings and Seb Ross and Loney and get something back in return to go to the draft with. But, until then, we've got them on the list, and we need to get something out of them. Second worst percentage in the comp. Oh, God. Thanks for sharing that, Mark, but I didn't want to know that. Dermot says, stop buying old injured players. Go to the draft. If we lose to North, that's it for us. That's from Jay. Get Ross Lyon back. I feel like the coaching staff has got there's going to be a lot of players at the end of a lot of coaches at the end of the year that are going to have their contracts terminated. I can see it coming. And Aaron Hamill, I can't get over this. Backline coach, Aaron Hamill. I don't understand that. We need to get coaches coaching in the positions that they have played or their expert knowledge in. Aaron Hamill was a good forward, a tough nut. He wasn't a defender. Why is he a defensive coach? I don't know what's going on there. Ranton needs to restructure that. Either he's a problem or he's got coaches around him that have got no idea. No idea. Bruce is laughing at this club, I know. To see Josh Bruce kick 4 when we've kicked 5 for the day, that's another thing that I can't believe I've witnessed. That's actually not even that's not a nightmare. That's a reality. I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning, turn to my girlfriend and think, oh, it's footy. I just had this bad nightmare. I had a dream that we lost by 110 points and Josh Bruce kicked almost more goals than our team. Oh, wait. It fucking happened. That happened tonight. I just saw it. We all just saw it. This club just finds new ways to disappoint us. This is from Pete. Our best and worst gap is enormous. You don't know what Saints performance you will get week in, week out. We need a clean out. We've cleaned a lot out. We've gotten rid of a lot of players over the years, but there's still a few there that are remaining. But we also don't have enough at Sandy to come in. You look at the Bulldogs second string team, you look at Richmond's, you look at even Melbourne's. They've got Ben Brown running around, Wiedemann running around. They've got a lot of good players not getting into their teams. We don't have that depth. We thought we were going to have that depth with Dunstan and that. Now we need to roll the dice. You've got to bring in someone like Luke Dunstan. If we don't have Zach Jones in the team, we need Luke Dunstan in. We need some physicality. We need to give him a chance. It's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt us playing players like that now. At least we get value for him. If we want to trade someone like Luke Dunstan at the end of the year, just play him for the next 3 weeks until the bye, see how he goes. If he plays well, his value goes up. If he doesn't, well, that's it. We need to be ruthless with players now and say, you're playing for your careers. Even players like Dan Butler. I think he signed another 1-year deal, but players like him, he's not guaranteed a spot in the team in the next couple of years. If he really keeps dishing this up, maybe that's why Richmond did get rid of him. These things come up. I don't want it to be true, but you go by the reality, and the reality of it is he hasn't had anywhere near a good enough season to be in this team, but right now we can't afford to drop him because we don't have anyone to take his spot. We've gone backwards. That's from Ollie. Thomas says, can we have an apology from the players and the coaches? I'm so sick of this narrative that Saints supporters should be used to substandard performances and to cop cop it on the chin. That is a fantastic comment. Best comment of this stream so far. The players need to come out and say something. I said this, I think, after the Essendon game on the podcast, and Joycey said it's too soon to do that. You don't want a player like maybe Jack Steele as the captain to come out and say that wasn't good enough and call out players, because then it puts him against the players and it creates an issue. You know, I'm better than you. It upsets the team dynamic. But right now, Joycey also said to me, but if it happens consistently, at some point, the captain or the coach, they need to come out and they need to just listen to what the supporters have to say. And that's why I do this channel. It's because the club never does that. They don't give they don't connect the players with the supporters and have an honest chat. Jack Steele should hop on a Facebook Live like I'm doing right now and answer questions. You know, someone needs to moderate them, but he needs to come out. We need some transparency. That's the one thing I always talk about after shit losses, is I want the club to be transparent about it. I don't want highlight videos of us training the house down and good news stories about raising money for a good cause or, you know, this and that. I want players to actually talk about that they can feel the pain of the supporters, but right now you don't know if they feel that pain or not. And I think that would help us all a lot deal with these losses better, knowing that we're going through it with the players as opposed to against the players. So I'm going to watch with a keen eye on Saints socials and the website, and to see what sort of content they bring up this week and the angle they go with. Shane says, no game plan, structure, effort, commitment, so things must change. Yep, just to spot the obvious there, mate. Mitchell says, can't protect the boys this week, Jake. That was pathetic, and ASAP meeting needs to happen. Yeah, if you watch the whole live, mate, you'll know I'm not protecting anyone today. I'm not protecting the club. Definitely not protecting the coaches. Everyone is on notice. This, to me, is the final straw. If we see any other bad losses for the year, there's going to be some repercussions for some players and some coaches, and might well be the head coach. He needs to fix things fast. You know, Rats was the man last year, and leading into this year, the man. We love him. We love Rats. We love seeing him smile, and we know that he cares. But we also need to know he's the man for the job, because if we finish in the bottom 2 or 3 this year, I don't know when his contract ends, but I'm not saying he's on the chopping block, but I'm saying he'd be under the most pressure going into next season with someone like Nathan Buckley. We're just lucky that there's other clubs like Collingwood and Carlton and these sort of teams that are playing shit as us and taking the heat off us. If they weren't, we would be, you know, North is expected to be bottom, so they get off scot-free this season. We would be the worst performing. We are the worst performing side out of the top 8 from last season by a mile, by an absolute mile. We've gone backwards. The game plan's gone out the window. We've got injuries and things that just haven't gone our way this year, but there's no excuse for dishing up the sort of performance that we dished up tonight. Yeah. Look, guys, I could keep going on, but we'll just keep repeating the same thing. I kind of wanted to just keep it short because I've shared as much as I can, so I'm going to wrap it up there. I've still got to get this up on YouTube and drive home and do all that stuff. Maybe I'll go and have a cheeky glass of red somewhere and forget about this game, but I appreciate all of you staying up late and even bothering to watch my stream, because it was always going to be very obvious, very blunt, and, you know, minus any sort of positivity and highlights. So I appreciate it. Thank you for some stars as well. Didn't expect that. And for sharing your comments, and for any of the Sainers that stayed all the way until the final siren, good on you. I don't know why you did it. I also don't know why I did it. But yeah, we'll be back here next week. We'll be taking on North, and hopefully we can, I don't know, see some sort of improvement. We've seen some improvement this year. We've seen more shit losses than improvement, but yeah, hopefully you appreciate the live and and the honesty that I bring to the channel, and yeah, hopefully we talk about a win next season. Hopefully next week and not next season. So take care, guys. Have a good weekend. I know it's going to be a shit one for a lot of people because there's a lot more passionate Saners out there than me. I've met many of them, and there's a lot of Saners out there that will take this to heart, and I hope you find some positivity in other aspects of your week, and come back next week against North with a smile on your face and with the red, white and black on, and hopefully we can get the win and turn this season around. But it's looking hard, but you know, there's always next week, so I'll throw that old cliche there until to wrap this up. But take care, guys. Have a good weekend, and I'll be back next week to preview the North game. Take care. Go Saints. Thanks.